knowing what your purpose is not a foolproof thing that is what you're going to be doing from day one all through. There's going to be a point in time or some moments in your life that you'll be faced with an opportunity to do something that is probably totally disconnected to your purpose. So I've been preaching purpose all these years. The question that I want to answer today is this: what happens when there is something that you're supposed to do or something that life is presenting to you to do that is totally outside of your purpose? Not outside of your values, but outside of your purpose, outside of what you think. This is my vision. For example, Lawrence's vision is to inspire hope and enrich lives worldwide. But what if something comes up that is totally not even within that aspect, within that confine? What do you do? So we are saying that nothing you do outside of your purpose is useless. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Life Signatures podcast with Lawrence Namale. Lawrence is a life coach, author, and keynote speaker who loves to tackle different topics on purpose, productivity, and resilience. His mission in life is to awaken all your boundless possibilities available in you. Life Signatures podcast is dedicated to bring to reality every single person who knows that deep down in their gut, there's got to be more to life than this. And now, here is your host, Lawrence Namale.
So I've said over and over again that knowing your vision, knowing your purpose, having the idea of what you are meant to do in this life or what you are born to accomplish in this life is something that is absolutely powerful. It's something that it's so liberating, so enlightening. But the question will be, how do you balance your life from the fact that life has got to continue, and life the way it has been handed on to you, it is in such a way that you're still supposed to continue making a living. In other words, there are bills to pay, okay? There are bills to pay, but then there is your purpose to pursue. You notice that at some point in time, the life of paying your bills might not be catered for by the life of pursuing your purpose. And so the question will be, what do you do? How do you balance those two extremes, if I might call them extremes? But how do you balance that equation? When you find yourself with an opportunity to do something that is totally undefined or totally outside the range or the scope of what your purpose and what your calling is. Use the example of Moses. Moses is supposed to be delivering the children of Israel. What are you doing at the backside of the desert? Taking care of sheep. David is supposed to be a king. What are you doing taking care of few sheep according to your brother? Joseph is supposed to be holding the whole world together in your economics in terms of food production and whatever. What are you doing in a pit? What are you doing in a prison? What are you doing as a slave? There are some things in life that will come to you, come rain or shine, whether you know your purpose or whether you don't know your purpose. And when that happens, it is incumbent to you to note from the get-go that nothing you do on the face of the earth is useless, especially if you already know what your purpose in life is. Because the perspective of your purpose in life is always going to be at the back of your mind. And so I want us just to do one small presentation today, and we'll call it a day. Let's talk about you, especially you who has already downloaded your vision and your purpose. Chances are that what you're doing right now might not necessarily be fully dedicated or committed to your purpose, might not be within the scope of what your purpose is. Probably you are employed, and maybe you are called to be a CEO somewhere. Probably you are stuck in a government sponsorship course that is not supposed to be what you wanted to do. Maybe you've been given to do education, a degree in education, and you wanted to do something totally different because the government cannot afford that. Probably you are stuck in there, and probably you have even graduated from that particular thing. You graduated with education, a degree in education, and you wanted to do law, and it looks like your fate is sealed, signed, locked, and loaded. Huh? What happens? See, I'm going to give you this advice. First of all, that's what we're going to talk about today, and then we call it a day. Just the fact that you know what your vision is, you know what your mission is, you know what your purpose is much more powerful. You'd rather know that I am not supposed to be here and you do it anyway because there's no other choice or there's no other option, than not know and just continue doing it as if you're just fulfilling all righteousness. Life has got to have some kind of insight into it. I don't think that life has been meant for us to live with basically no insight and no direction and dimension towards what we're doing and where we're going and what we're supposed to do. You cannot convince me that this intricate, this crown of creation, which is the human being, is here on earth for nothing, with no direction. I mean, with nowhere to go, basically to grow up naturally and then to pay bills and then to die. Of what use is that kind of a life to a human being? I don't think so. And therefore, if you found what your purpose in life is, once you found out what your purpose in life is, it is so much power. I also actually normally say it's much more power than a degree that you get out of school. It is such much power that you are able to link that power at the back of your mind to whatever it is that you're doing today. In other words, if I give you a job as a bank teller, and that's the only opportunity that is available today for you to eke out a living and to pay your bills, and yet you know for sure that you've been called to inspire people, to be a speaker, motivational speaker, and you have the speech you can be able to, you have the word itself, you have the anointing to do it, you will go to that bank teller job with that knowledge, with that information, and you will give your best, knowing full well that this is not it. This is temporary, and therefore in this temporary situation, I am going to leverage it the best that I can. Just like there's some time in my life when I found myself in the village. I mean, you have a higher diploma in management systems, and you are in the village with no job. And the only opportunity that is available for you in the village, and I'm talking about something that happened to me, is take care of cows and make sure that they are fed and cultivate the grounds. You do not need to go to a higher diploma to do that stuff. Anybody can do that. You can't, having a higher diploma doing hardship work, being a herdsman, we don't need that. But you see, I was in that particular position and I was refusing to do it. And I realized that the more I refuse to do this thing, the more I am miserable and the more I am wasting my time here. So what did I do? I got off my city clothes and put everything on the side, and I decided to draw a line in the sand, and I said, if this is what is before me, if being a villager, if being a herder, if being, taking care of cows and making sure that they are fed and cultivating the grounds with a hoe, if this is all that there is for me to do, then I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get off this city clothes and I'm gonna throw them off, and I'm going to put my hands on the plow, and I'm gonna be the best at this. And that's exactly what I did. And 1 month down the line, I was out of that village, and I've never gone back to that village again, at least in the mode that I went back there at that moment in time. First, Know what your vision is. Know what your purpose is. And if you do not know what your purpose is, I can teach you to do that. If you go to lifesignatures.life, there is a course that actually I've been told that I've underpriced that course by the students who are already taking that course. There is a course called Discover Your Purpose. It's 8 milestones on the journey of your purpose. You will see the link there, $129. In 8 weeks, even before 8 weeks are ending, you already know what your vision is. You know what your purpose is. You can state it. You can feel it. You can sense it. It's authentic. It is yours. I'm not going to give it to you. You already know it. I'm going to help you to unearth it. So know what your purpose is. Knowing what it is will give you perspective of what you can do. To do this, you ought to be a seeker. You ought to be a learner. You ought to be a curious person. You gotta ask yourself questions like, what on earth am I doing here? Why am I here? And normally purpose is not something that you're going to do and move on to something else. Purpose is something that you're going to do because you're born to do it. You're going to actually move from all the other stuff and move into purpose. Knowing it is critical, a critical aspect of your life. It will be great to figure out as early as possible. Even if you do not figure it out early, at least it is important to understand the need for it. It is important. It's important for you to go on the quest to know what it is. And even if you find yourself in the village, whatever place it is that you are, as long as you figured out what your purpose is, you know the direction you're going to take. You might be at the bank teller and yet you're supposed to be a CEO in some place, but you already know where you're supposed to go. For example, when I was doing my second job, I knew that I was a leader. And what did I do? Even as I was given an obscure job where there was no leadership capacity in that particular place, what did I do? I started dressing myself up as a leader. So dressing up like one, walking like one, feeling like one. I remember at some point in time when I would get permission to go to town, my boss will half-heartedly give me the permission, thinking I'm going to get employed somewhere, I'm going to look for a job. I had spruced myself up to walk as if I am one. See, the knowledge of what your purpose is determines where you're gonna go. You see, where you are at might be immaterial. The knowledge of where you're going is what is important. Therefore, where you are at might not be as useless as you might think. It is a platform through which you can be able to use to go where you're supposed to go. So you might be, I don't know what it is that you're doing at this moment in time in your life. I don't know what it is that you're doing. The question is, do you know what your vision is? Do you know what your purpose is? Do you know the direction that your life is supposed to take? That is the most important thing. It gives all the other aspects of your life some kind of perspective. Probably you've been employed like a teacher. You are a teacher. You're teaching primary school kids. But you know that your vision or your purpose in life is to become a leader in church, for example. Now that you know that, how do you use this position where you are at to start practicing and behaving as if you are a leader? You see, you become a different kind of a teacher. You elevate your pedigree in some way. Knowing where you're going is much more critical than just knowing where you are at this moment in time. And therefore, what you're doing is not useless, because there is a continuum and there is a time frame that your purpose is supposed to take in order to come to fruition, even as we've discussed in the previous episodes. Tomorrow we're going to continue discussing all this stuff so that we can put this into perspective. But remember, nothing you do outside of your purpose, if you know what your purpose is, could be useless. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Life Signatures Radio. If you enjoyed today's show, subscribe to Life Signatures Radio on iTunes, Stitcher, or visit our website at lifesignatures.libsyn.com. Life Signatures Radio, fresh, clean, and inspiring.